What if I told you there's a single bacteria that scientists have linked to stubborn weight gain, low energy, or chronic inflammation? Meet Akkermansia, the gut bacteria that's creating a buzz in research labs and health clinics because it's not just a probiotic. It's being studied for its remarkable ability to repair damaged gut lining, boost metabolism, reduce inflammation, and even improve your body's response to food. A groundbreaking 2020 study in Nature Medicine found that people taking this specific bacteria saw dramatic improvements in gut barrier function and metabolic health markers. And get this, a 2024 study discovered it produces a special protein that actually stimulates your body to repair intestinal damaged tissue. But while Akkermansia shows incredible promise, there are specific situations where it might not be right for you or could even potentially make your condition worse. Today, I'm going to cut through the marketing hype and give you the complete science-backed truth about this miracle microbe, so you can decide if it might be the missing piece to your health puzzle. Stick around until the end, where I'm going to share how you can support healthy Akkermansia levels naturally as well. Let's get into this. So what exactly makes Akkermansia different from the thousands of other bacteria in your gut? First, its location. Most bacteria live in what we call the lumen, basically the open space inside the intestines. But Akkermansia actually lives in the mucus layer that protects the gut wall. This was first discovered by a group of researchers in the Netherlands who were amazed to find a bacteria that specialized in this specific environment. And here's where it gets really interesting. Akkermansia actually eats your protective mucus. I know, that sounds terrible at first, right? But there's fascinating science behind why this is actually beneficial. When Akkermansia consumes mucus properly, it sends signals to your gut lining to trigger the production of fresh new mucus. It's similar to how pruning a rose bush stimulates new growth. The old, degraded mucus gets replaced with a stronger barrier. Let me explain why this matters for your health. Imagine your gut lining as the security system for your entire body. When it's compromised, what doctors call leaky gut, all sorts of problems start. Food particles leak into your bloodstream, triggering immune reactions and food sensitivities. Bacterial toxins escape, causing system-wide inflammation, and nutrient absorption suffers, leaving you fatigued and nutritionally depleted. In a landmark study published in the Journal of Clinical Investigation, researchers found that higher Akkermansia levels correlate with stronger gut barrier function and fewer metabolic problems. This is huge if you're dealing with issues like, let's say, irritable bowel syndrome or inflammatory bowel disease, food sensitivities that seem to be getting worse, weight gain that doesn't respond to a low-calorie diet, energy crashes after meals, and brain fog, as well as mood issues tied to gut health. Now, let's talk about something that many of us care deeply about: metabolism and weight management. Can Akkermansia really help? Well, according to a research published in Nature Metabolism in 2022, there's a clear connection between low Akkermansia levels and metabolic disorders, including obesity and type 2 diabetes. When scientists looked at the gut bacteria of lean versus overweight individuals, one of the most consistent differences was Akkermansia abundance. But correlation doesn't always mean causation, right? That's why researchers took it even further. In a fascinating study with mice fed a high-fat diet, the group receiving Akkermansia supplementation gained significantly less weight and had better glucose control than the control group. What's more, they showed less fat tissue inflammation, a key factor in metabolic syndrome. But here's where it gets really interesting for humans. A randomized controlled trial published in Nature Medicine in 2020 involved overweight adults taking either pasteurized Akkermansia, that's heat-treated, not live bacteria, or a placebo for 3 months. The results, the Akkermansia group showed improved insulin sensitivity, lower cholesterol levels, reduced inflammation markers, slightly lower body weight, and better blood glucose control. And they identified several mechanisms on how Akkermansia protects the metabolism. It strengthens gut barrier function, reducing metabolic endotoxemia. It produces compounds that regulate glucose metabolism. It influences fat storage signaling pathways, and it affects hunger and satiety hormones through gut-brain connection. Some people have claimed that it increases GLP-1, the Ozempic kind of alternative for weight loss and sugar regulation. One of the most exciting discoveries about Akkermansia came just last year in 2024. Scientists writing in Cell found that Akkermansia produces a protein called Amuse 1409. This helps your intestinal lining repair itself by activating stem cells. Think about what this could mean if you're dealing with long-term gut damage from food sensitivities, recovering from antibiotics or illness, having age-related decline in gut function, or inflammatory bowel conditions. And this protein, Mus1409, works by interacting with another protein called E-cadherin on your gut cells, which triggers a cellular pathway called WNTP-cartinin. In simple terms, this pathway tells your intestinal stem cells, hey, we need new cells here. Start dividing and repairing. In mouse models, this helped heal gut damage from radiation and chemotherapy, and even reverse some age-related gut decline. For anyone who's dealt with persistent gut issues, this is beneficial and a game changer. The result on gut repair also explains why Akkermansia might help with post-infectious IBS, recovery after food poisoning, gut healing after medication side effects, and strengthening the gut barrier as we age. Now, most of these dramatic repair effects have been shown in lab and animal studies. We need more human trials to confirm the same benefits in people. But the mechanism makes biological sense, and the preliminary findings are promising. Now let's talk about how Akkermansia communicates with your immune system, which matters tremendously if you're dealing with autoimmune conditions or chronic inflammation. Your gut houses about 70 to 80% of your immune system, so the bacteria here have enormous influence over your body's inflammatory responses. Most gram-negative bacteria produce something called LPS, lipopolysaccharide. It's a long word, so we're just going to abbreviate these long words so we can get through this. This is a molecule that essentially rings your immune system's alarm bell, triggering inflammation as protection. But Akkermansia is different. Research in immunity shows it produces a modified version called LOS, another lipo that's structurally different from regular LPS. This LOS doesn't send a signal for danger. Instead, it activates two different immune receptors, TLR4, which typically promotes inflammation, and TLR2, which often encourages tolerance. A 2024 study in Scientific Immunology found that Akkermansia's LOS increased production of IL-10, basically your body's natural anti-inflammatory messenger. It also promotes regulatory T cells, which act like peacekeepers in your immune system, preventing overreactions. This might explain why people with healthy Akkermansia levels often show lower levels of inflammatory markers like CRP and IL-6, better tolerance to food, more balanced immune responses, and less autoimmune reactivity. But here's the catch that could affect your specific situation. If your gut lining is already damaged, as many people with chronic digestive issues experience, this LOS might leak through at the wrong place or time, potentially confusing your immune system. And since we don't have human trials specifically studying these effects, we're relying on animal and lab studies. Helpful, but not the complete picture for your unique body. And now for the potential downsides that most probiotic companies won't tell you about, because I believe you deserve the complete picture. Remember that Akkermansia survives by eating your gut's mucus. If your body isn't making enough mucin, the main protein in mucus, or if you're under chronic stress, and let's be honest, who isn't these days? Taking too much of this bacteria could potentially thin your protective barrier too much. Research published in the Gut Microbe suggested that in certain conditions, this could backfire on people. Think of it this way. One gardener trimming your hedges, helpful. You put 10 gardeners out there trimming your hedges at once, you might end up with no hedge at all. Also, according to Microbiome research from the University of Michigan, the LOS structure can vary between different strands of Akkermansia. The part that interacts with your immune receptors called lipid A can differ, meaning one strand might calm inflammation while another could potentially increase it. This matters deeply if you're taking supplements without knowing exactly which strand your body needs. Even more concerning for those with inflammatory bowel conditions, in some mouse models of IBD, Akkermansia actually made gut inflammation worse. According to a study in inflammatory bowel diseases, context matters tremendously for your specific situation. And while a Mus1409 protein is exciting for your gut repair, it works by activating the cellular pathway WNT-Wnt-B-catenin that's also involved in some cancers, as documented in Nature Reviews Cancer. In healthy tissue, it boosts healing, but in cells that might already be precancerous, there's a concern that it could potentially accelerate growth. But keep in mind, there's no evidence as of yet that it causes cancer, but it's a biological pathway we should approach carefully, especially if you have a family history of colon cancers. So, what's the good, the bad, and the ugly with Akkermansia for your health journey? Let's break it down. The good, Akkermansia improves gut integrity, metabolism, and helps balance immune responses. This is supported by multiple studies in prestigious journals. Its protein Amuse 1409 helps your gut lining repair itself, which could be a game-changing situation if you're healing from gut damage. And through human studies, they found that pasteurized heat-killed forms might be safer or more stable than live bacteria. The bad, the LOS molecule can trigger either inflammation or tolerance, depending on your current gut health. Benefits depend heavily on specific strands and your gut condition. And clear evidence in humans is still emerging. Most dramatic results are from lab and animal studies. And now on to the ugly. Too much Akkermansia could potentially thin your protective mucus layer, particularly if you're stressed or nutrient depleted. Amuse 1409 works through a pathway that, while great for repair, needs careful consideration with any history of bowel disease. And different strands produce different forms of LOS. And we still need way more long-term human studies to predict the outcomes. If you want to try Akkermansia supplements for your particular health concerns, here's some practical recommendations. Choose pasteurized supplements that have clinical research behind them, like those used in the published Nature Medicine trial. Pair with probiotics like inulin, pectin, or foods rich in polyphenols, which would be cranberries, green tea, black chocolate, pomegranate, that support Akkermansia naturally, as shown in the research from the University of Wisconsin. Avoid during active gut inflammation unless working with a healthcare provider who understands your specific condition. And lastly, monitor how you feel, digestive discomfort, stool quality, energy levels, and track any changes systematically. Also, support your body's natural mucus production, which according to research published in Nutrients includes getting enough of the amino acids glycine, serine, and threonine found in bone broth, collagen, and quality protein sources. Stay well hydrated, as dehydration can thin mucus layers. Limit frequent NSAID use, which research shows can thin your gut lining over time, as well as support vitamin A status, crucial for mucous membrane health. And remember, your gut isn't just a machine you can hack. It's a complete living ecosystem unique to your body. And Akkermansia is just one player in a much bigger team. I do hope this deep dive into Akkermansia has helped you understand this interesting bacteria. I've done quite a few reviews on some gut health supplements. I'll put maybe one of my favorite reviews right here. You can go check it out and see what all these ingredients and some of these products do to you and your body, or for you and for your body. This is Dave. Stay strong, stay healthy, be informed, not influenced. We'll see you next time on the channel.